Three world leaders, three different countries, three completely different agendas. And in the last 30 days, all three said the same thing. Modi stood before thousands of people and warned of massive poverty returning. Putin compared the world economy to the darkest days of COVID-19. And the head of the IMF said global growth is slowing while inflation is rising at the same time. When leaders this different start saying the same scary thing, it means something is genuinely wrong. This is not fear-mongering. This is not politics. This is the 2026 global economic crisis. And today, we are going to tell you exactly what is happening, why it is happening, and what it means for your money. On May 16, 2026, just yesterday, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi stood before the Indian diaspora in The Hague, Netherlands. He was on a 5-nation European tour, and what he said was not the usual diplomatic optimism. He said, the world is entering a dangerous phase. This is becoming a decade of crisis. If things don't change, the achievements of the last few decades could be erased, and massive poverty may return. Massive poverty. From the Prime Minister of the world's most populous country. But that was not even the most alarming part. 10 days earlier, Modi stood in Hyderabad and asked 140 crore Indians to make sacrifices. He asked them to stop buying gold for a year, to avoid foreign travel, to use public transport and carpooling, to work from home wherever possible, to reduce fertilizer use on farms. He called fuel conservation an act of patriotism. When a Prime Minister asks his citizens to stop buying gold and calls it patriotism, something is seriously wrong with the economy. And the numbers tell you exactly what. India's crude oil import bill, which averaged $71 per barrel through all of last year, jumped to $114 per barrel in April alone. 1 month, a 60% spike. India imports 88% of its crude oil. Every rupee the oil price rises hits every Indian family within weeks. Now here is where the story gets genuinely chilling, because the man who warned most dramatically about what is coming is Vladimir Putin. On March 26, 2026, Putin stood before Russian government officials and said something that stopped analysts worldwide. He said the Middle East crisis could paralyze the global economy exactly as COVID-19 did. Read that again. The president of Russia, a man who does not make dramatic statements casually, compared what is happening right now to COVID-19, the pandemic that shut down the entire world, that wiped out millions of jobs overnight, that erased years of economic progress in a matter of months. Putin is saying this could be that bad. And here is the brutal irony. Russia started part of this chain of events. Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. That pushed the world into its first energy crisis. That spike in oil prices sent global inflation soaring. That forced central banks to raise interest rates. Those high interest rates slowed down economies worldwide. 4 years later, Russia's own economy is collapsing under the weight of that decision. Russia's GDP contracted 1.8% in January and February alone. Russia's economy ministry cut its 2026 growth forecast from 1.3% to 0.4%. The head of Russia's largest bank, Sberbank, warned of a, and I'm quoting his exact words, perfect storm for the Russian economy. Russia's own economy minister said, we are on the brink of recession. The man who lit the first match is now watching the fire reach his own house. So what is actually happening to the world economy right now? Let us go country by country. United States. Consumer prices climbed at the fastest pace since 2023. Gas prices rose over $1 per gallon since the Middle East war started. Spirit Airlines, one of America's largest budget carriers, shut down completely on May 2nd, citing rising fuel costs. Europe. Gas storage levels entered the crisis at just 30% capacity after a brutal winter. Dutch gas benchmark prices nearly doubled to over 60 euros per megawatt hour. Multiple publications projected Europe faces an energy crisis similar to 2022. Japan. 70% of its Middle Eastern oil comes through the Strait of Hormuz. Japan launched its largest ever release of emergency oil reserves, 80 million barrels, in one go. South Korea advised citizens to reduce electricity use, nearly 100% dependent on imported oil. Pakistan and Bangladesh declared energy emergencies, restricting vehicle use, long queues at petrol stations across both countries. Myanmar introduced alternate day private vehicle restrictions, running out of refined fuel products. And the IMF, the organization that monitors the entire world's economic health, published its verdict in April. Global growth cut to 3.1%. Global inflation rising. Downside risks, their words, decisively on the downside. The World Bank said energy prices will surge 24% this year, the highest since Russia invaded Ukraine in 2022. And one more number that puts everything in perspective. The total economic cost of this crisis by mid-April was estimated at between $2.4 trillion and $6.9 trillion, depending on how long it lasts. $6.9 trillion is more than the entire annual economy of every country in Africa combined. Here is what I want you to understand about these numbers. They are not abstract. They are not just for economists. Every single one of them reaches into your daily life within weeks. When oil prices rise 60%, your petrol price rises. Your transport costs rise. Every product that is manufactured, packaged, or delivered costs more to make. When fertilizer prices spike, food production costs rise. Wheat, rice, corn, vegetables all become more expensive within one growing season. When airlines face 95% fuel cost increases, your flight tickets rise. Your courier packages cost more. Your online shopping deliveries carry surcharges. When central banks fight inflation by keeping interest rates high, your home loan EMI stays expensive. Your business loan costs more. Credit becomes tighter. This is not one problem. This is a cascade. One war, one closed waterway, cascading through oil, through fertilizer, through food, through transport, through inflation, through interest rates, through your wallet. Modi feels it. Putin feels it. The IMF is measuring it. And you, whether you are in Mumbai, Manchester, Manila, or Miami, are living it. So what should you actually do with this information? 3 things. Number 1. Understand that this is not temporary. Every analyst who has studied this crisis has said the same thing. Even after a ceasefire, even after the waterways reopen, physical oil market tightness persists for at least 90 days minimum. Supply chains do not recover overnight. Fertilizer shortages do not resolve in a week. Inflation that has been building for months does not disappear in days. Plan your finances for a prolonged period of higher costs. Not a week, not a month, at least 6 to 12 months. Number 2. Diversify away from vulnerability. If your income depends entirely on one source, one job, one business, one client, you are as vulnerable as a country that depends on one waterway for 20% of its oil. This crisis is a reminder that concentration of dependence is the greatest economic risk of all. Build a second income stream. Build savings that are not tied to one currency. Build skills that are valuable regardless of which economy is struggling. Number 3. Stop waiting for leaders to fix it. Modi can ask you to conserve fuel. Putin can warn about COVID comparisons. The IMF can issue reports. But no government on earth can shield every citizen from the consequences of a broken global supply chain. The people who survive economic crises best are never the ones who waited for their government to act. They are the ones who understood what was coming and moved first. You are watching this video. That means you are already ahead of 90% of people who will feel this crisis without ever understanding why. Use that. If this video gave you clarity, share it. Not for the views, because the people around you deserve to understand what is happening to their money. Subscribe, because what Modi, Putin and the IMF are warning about today will be tomorrow's headlines. And we will find it before it finds you.